Button pushing is hard. Hey, everybody, we are live. Welcome to the Vetted VA Mortgage Market Update with Hammer J. Helmer. Hammer, welcome back, sir.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate you having me, my friend.
I love having you on this call, man. We've really engaged this. What's funny about these calls is I know we're doing it in the middle of the day, right? And this is the middle of the workday kind of mentality. So we don't always get a lot of people popping on live and asking questions. Although you can interrupt us, I'm monitoring the questions and the comments here. But we get a lot of people watching in replay and diving into the dialogues more in the evening, right? Because let's be honest, if you're ever in financing and you are trying to buy a house or something, sometimes the worst time is the middle of the night because your brain goes into overdrive. Like, what ifs questions start popping up. So if you're catching this in replay, feel free to put your comments down. We're going to keep monitoring those and want to answer those maybe the next week or even comment on it because Hammer, you're watching them too.
Yep, absolutely. And if you are watching, do me a favor, give us a hashtag replay. Put it in the comments. That way we know that you guys are watching and that you're getting value from this. Because at the end of the day, we do this for you, for the community, for you as a consumer, for the vetted VA professionals on here as well, but especially for you guys as consumers. We want to make sure that you have an unbiased source with just some insight, and some explanation so that you can make informed decisions for yourself. And even when you're trying to research things online, you can read so many conflicting reports, so much conflicting information out there. And a lot of it is actually put out for lead generation. They want to get your business. So there's a lot of things that maybe have a slant to it. And there's no slant here. We've got no dog in the show, if you will. So
no, that's not true. There is a slant. We are pro VA lending. We think that it is the best in the system. We're totally slanted towards the VA loan.
But no slant for a particular lender or for trying to get their business, and we're not making commissions or anything. So
100%, not at all.
So, well, anyway, I've got some exciting news for this week. So if you don't mind, why don't we jump right in? If you pull up the slides and we'll talk a little bit about where things are at. So here we are for a quick recap. It is today is April 27th. And this week, when I sent out our weekly rate forecast on Monday on the 25th, a quick recap of what happened last week. Mortgage rates moved up a little bit last week. It was just a little bit. Many of you, if I say mortgage rates moved up, what you may find is the interest rate itself may not change, but your costs for that rate will change. In other words, it may cost you a few dollars that you pay to get that rate, or you may get a bit of a credit back from the lender in what we call a rebate. So as you get that back last week, unfortunately, things did get a little bit worse. Rates were a little bit higher. But we did see signs that rates were stabilizing. And that's so far what we're seeing this week. And I'll talk about that in a minute. Last week's moves were mainly due to the fact that markets are reacting to the idea that the Fed is going to do two things to slow down the economy. And by slowing down the economy, they're going to try to get inflation in check. Because remember, our Fed, as we call them, the Federal Reserve, is tasked with what they call a dual mandate. And the Fed is our central banking system. And even though it's a quasi-governmental piece, it's not necessarily truly part of the government, but yet it's kind of government-based, right? And they're supposed to be keeping inflation at or around 2%. And they're supposed to maximize employment. They want to keep everybody out there working. And that's their dual mandate. And right now, inflation has been up around 8.5%, much, much higher than 2%. You can feel it at the pump. You can feel it at the grocery store when you're online there. You can see it almost everywhere. And the Fed is trying to get that inflation number back down. And the way that they're going to do that is by manipulating a couple of different tools that they have. One of which is they raise what's called the Fed funds rate. And that kind of permeates through the economy as the cost of borrowing. As borrowing becomes more expensive, it also leads to less money being spent, and that tends to slow down the economy. When the economy slows down, you have the ability for supply to increase and demand to decrease, and that brings prices down. Because now, if I want to sell this Kirkland sparkling water, and let's say I'm getting $1 a can for this stuff, and I've got people lined out the door on a 90-degree day, and they all want to spend, someone in the back says, I'll give you $1.10. And I say, well, do I hear $1.20? And I might raise my prices because I can get them. But then what happens is now it's the next day, it's only 62 degrees and it's raining. Nobody wants my Kirkland sparkling water today. And I've got all these extra cases that I bought and I can't seem to sell them. And I say, all right, well, I've spent 70 cents on them. Instead of $1.20, well, maybe I can get rid of them for 80 cents. And I start selling them all for 80 cents. And that's the way costs come down when the demand decreases. And that's what the Fed is doing to make things slow the economy down and make things a little bit more palatable for all of us and get that inflation back in check. So, but what happens with mortgage rates? They're not going to go up or down when the Fed actually raises those rates. What they do is they react to the idea that the Fed is going to raise rates, and they actually anticipate that that's going to happen. And if you want to get some insight into what that looks like, here is what we call Fed futures and the Fed probabilities. And I'm going to explain this to you guys for a minute. And again, the more informed you are, the better of decisions that you can make. So what happens, this is a group called the CME Group. It's a company that monitors what they call Fed futures. And how probable is it of where the Fed is going to take rates over the next few meetings? And they go all the way into next year, actually. But the next meeting is May 3rd and May 4th. And on May 4th, next week, they're going to come out and they're going to say, okay, this is what rates are at now. And the expectation is that they're going to raise rates 0.5%. Now, you may say, Hammer, do I have to worry about mortgage rates going up 0.5% next week? The answer is no. That's why we've already seen mortgage rates going up at the beginning of the year and through these last 4 months of 2022, is the market has already reacted to these expected moves. And as long as the Fed meets those moves, we're not going to see a lot of movement in mortgage rates. You're not going to see rates go up 0.5% when they make this move. So that's going to happen next week. And that's what kind of has controlled everything and where the moves have. Now, this week, we've seen the last couple of days, things have improved. And I said that last week we saw some signs of rates stabilizing. And that's a really good sign. And it's kind of what we've seen here. So we've seen rates move up again and again and again this year, very, very consistently. Almost, rates move up 2 steps, then they fall back a step. They move up 2 steps and they fall back a step. And I'm starting to see signals that we could be finding an equilibrium, that rates could be settling down. And that's a good sign if you're looking at buying a home and you may not be closing in the next few weeks. Maybe you're not closing until, May or June, or you're still out there looking for the right home. So the good news is, I don't think we're going to see rates move up significantly more from here. Whatever rates you've been quoted, and if you're shopping around as Christopher, Nathan, and I, tell you guys that you should be doing, whatever rates you're seeing, we should hopefully stay within a range of maybe plus or minus 0.25% from those rates right now. And the idea here is, as long as things remain the same, and specifically that we don't see something escalate with the Ukraine-Russia war, that's something that could affect rates that we can't, it's a black swan event. We can't put our finger on what's going to happen, but that could. It looks like the Fed is going to reduce their balance sheet, and that's kind of a deeper subject. But what that means is they're going to allow more supply into the market. They're not going to keep buying up bonds the way they have been, which is one of the ways that they manipulate the economy and have kept rates low. So we've already been given a number for that. Now, the markets hate uncertainty. And when they weren't sure what the Fed was going to do, that was one of the things that contributed to rates moving up higher. Now we've heard a number. The Fed said they're looking to do about $95 billion in balance sheet depletion every month. And, we could go deep into what that means. But the bottom line is, not the markets know what that is. We've kind of seen that work its way into mortgage rates. So hopefully things are starting to settle down a little bit. We've seen rates improve a little bit at the beginning of this week. We'll probably see them give back a little bit by the end of the week, and we should see, like I said, an equilibrium, and that's kind of the focus. So we can turn the screen off now, Nathan, if you want.
You got it. I always want to make sure, just in case you had some candlestick chart you wanted to show everybody.
Yeah.
It's maybe not a happy chart at the moment, but that's a really good explanation. I think the Fed fund rate and the impact structure, or lack of, right, and how we adjust back and forth, and look that way. And I'll tell you, personally, I've got, my parents are aging and they're looking for a retirement home, and we're even talking about buying right now, and they're literally considering how much money they take out of their retirement and how much cash they put down and what their retirement engagement is versus their retirement returns are versus what the interest rates are. So everybody's going through it. And I think just to consider, markets are cyclical. Markets change and modify, and where we are today is not where we will be in 2 years from now. And so make decisions that you can live with for a few years, and plan well, plan ahead.
Yeah.
But also don't be afraid of change.
And I think what's really important right now for everybody to remember, when we've seen rates moving up, it makes us feel like we're missing out. And if there's one
Yeah.
thing humans hate, it's missing out. We have FOMO, fear of missing out. Nobody likes to miss out.
Hmm.
And I get that. I understand. I would love to have been able to play Monopoly and bought up 3 or 4 investment properties
Yeah.
myself and put houses on them and gotten them at a low price. But even with that aside, I think it's important to realize that with rates going up, we would have expected home prices to come down. Normally,
Right.
that's the relationship if rates were the only variable. Because what
Right.
happens is when rates go up, the demand for housing goes down and there's less people out there buying houses. So the supply could increase. We're not seeing that happen. And that's
Right.
important for everybody to know. And what that should give you a lot of hope for is that when you buy a home right now, it's not likely that you see it lose value even for a short period of time. I mean, I remember, Nathan, my parents bought a home for, I think it was $45,000, when they bought a house. And I don't think there's anything beyond a dog house you could get for $45,000. I've seen some she sheds that are $45,000. Um, so when you look over time, if we look back 10 years, 20 years, I'm sure we're going to say, wow, I wish I could have bought, that house at 300,000, because that house will probably be 4 or 500,000. But in the near term, in the 6 months, a year or 2 years, even, it can be intimidating to think, hey, I might be buying at the peak of the market and things may come back down a little bit in value, but it'll only be a very short term downturn for things to go up. It won't be. Last time we saw houses come down in value was 2008, and we truly did have a housing bubble then. It took
Yes.
us, how long did it take us to recover from that? About, I want to say about 7 years, six, seven
7 years.
years
Yeah. This is 2000. Yeah.
to
15,
until
16
we
when
saw
things
things
started.
kind of get back to where they were, and now
Hmm.
they're much higher. And that's the
Yeah.
thing, is if you bought a house in 2006 at what was considered back then the height of the market,
Hmm.
and you lost half the value of the house in 2009, it would have felt devastating. But yet
Right.
now, 10 years later, at 2016, we were
Yep.
back up to that same level. And 2022, you've probably doubled the value of
Yep.
that house.
Yep.
So there's not many investments that you double in value in 15 years, even going through an economic crisis like America did, in that 2008 Great Recession, 2009 Great Recession. So
Well, I think
the
that that recession, the everything you talk about there too, we're not in that same scenario.
not going to
Underwriting,
happen. Yeah, not going to
loans.
happen. Yep.
What we are facing now is a millennial, the growing age of our population, the maintenance and holding on of houses, and the lack of building, the construction slowdown. So, I totally agree with you, and I think it's what you can do today helps set up the future for what you can do tomorrow or 10 years
Yeah.
from now, right? And what that's going to look like. Um,
Go ahead, you mute. So, and that's the thing, everybody, is it is a great time to be buying a home, even if you do have concerns, because we did see rates move up very quickly, and that can cause
yep.
you to be concerned. Am I doing the right thing? Am I making the right move? And I want you all to remember, let's say the economy does slow down. What everybody
Yes.
is trying to do in the Fed side is they're trying to get what they call a soft landing. All I do is I have this image in my mind of a giant bouncy house, right? They want
Mm.
us to kind of get in there and be able to bounce around and get a soft landing. And the idea of a soft landing would be that the economy slows down enough to bring inflation into check, but
Hmm.
doesn't slow down enough that unemployment becomes a problem and that the economy itself becomes, in a recession. But even if we do, what really does well? The only time that housing didn't do well in a recession was because we caused the recession with housing in 2008.
Exactly.
Other
Exactly.
previous recessions, housing is one of the best things to have your money in during a recession. So even if you think that's going to happen, that's another reason to buy a house. If it doesn't happen, values are still going to go up. If
They
rates
don't.
do drop,
Yep.
you can
Yep.
refinance. And we've talked every time I always talk about my buddy Earl, and tell everybody
That's
about Earl,
right.
Nathan.
Yeah, the VA Earl. That's how if you can use the VA loan to make your purchase right now, not only are you in a strong point currently, you're in a strong point for future rate reductions. Hopping in there and doing a quick refi, it's very cost efficient too, actually, and
Yeah.
cost effective.
One of the best mortgage programs out there is the VA refinance, the interest rate rapid rate. What does Earl stand for? Too many letters on that one. Oh, you've got the lawnmower outside. Okay, yeah, don't worry about it.
So
Yeah,
funniest thing about this, okay, I don't have a lawn care service. I do have my dad who is up here, and he just loves mowing the lawn on the zero turn, and
yep.
I'm happy to have it done. So he just happened to choose right now to do it. So it's a beautiful thing. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna probably sign us off now. It's about that
That's
time.
fine.
It was
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It was a good update. Thank you for that. They're not making more land. They are making more houses. They're not making them fast enough. And that is why it is a solid time to continue moving forward with confidence. If you are looking to buy, get yourself pre-approved, get yourself moving forward. Last night on Avetta VA Live on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Central, we were talking, and Alexis Brown, one of our realtors, said, "Look, there's a true thing right now. FOMO. You brought it up, Hammer. It was perfect. Like fear of missing out. When we see interest rates rise, we start freaking out that we didn't act fast enough. Time is about being prepared. So prior proper planning prevents
Poor
blank
performance.
poor performance. I'm just going to drop one of the P's for Veta VA. So make sure to get yourself prepared and act now. And if it's not the right time, be prepared. So when it is, you act. Lack of action is what is going to put you back, and you're going to feel worse about it. So get prepared, get structured. We didn't have any questions 2 weeks ago. We missed last week. Thanks for that. Sorry about that canceling. But the 2 weeks ago, we didn't really have any questions, but we did have people reach out afterwards and say, thanks for that. Watch a replay at 2 a.m. because I can't stop thinking about what we're doing. Hopefully, this provides some more support. It is the end of the month. That's always a busy time for real estate and mortgage. They're closing. They're trying to get people through their final closing documents and signed. May 1st is on Sunday. So we will see you all next week in the first week of May. And with that, I hope you have a great day. Thank you, sir.
And take care, everybody. Bye bye.